So we are on live.
Yeah. Thank you so
Welcome
much.
and thank you, Ganiat, thank you, Janet, for being with us today for to exchange about woman empowerment in African cultural sector. That is a sector that you both know well, and I know the exchanges will be fruitful. And thank you again. And I think we will start while Odile is getting connected. But we will start, and I will let you both introduce yourselves. And after that, I will do a quick introduction. Odile is here.
Okay.
Hello, Odile.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello, Odile.
How are you?
I'm sorry, there is a power cut.
No
Yes.
problem.
Yeah. Hello, Odile. Nice to meet you. Meet you.
Very
Hello.
nice to meet you, Odile.
So,
Yeah.
Odile, thank you
Nice
for
to meet
joining us.
you.
And I
Yeah.
will let you introduce yourselves, starting with Janet.
Okay. My name is Janet Goldner. I am currently in Mali, where which is one of my homes, and I also live in the U.S. in New York. I'm a visual artist, a sculptor, and I work with steel, and I also do installations that have photography and video in them, and other objects in addition to steel sculptures. I've been coming to mainly West Africa for many, many years, so it's really influenced my life and my work. It's a source of big inspiration for me. Um, and I've spent time working with potters in Mali who are women, and also blacksmiths in Mali who are men, because that's the work that I do. Um, and I look forward to this conversation.
Thank you, Janet. Ganiat?
Okay. So I'm a cultural manager and an artistic director of the Kaduna Fashion and Arts Exhibition. It's an annual exhibition that takes place in northern Nigeria. And the focus of the exhibition is to showcase fashion and art from the region, and also support the artists and fashion designers with professional and creative development in their works.
Thank you,
So
Ganiat.
I look forward to the conversation and learning from Janet and Odile, because this is such a privilege. Thank you. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Yeah.
Odile, let you introduce yourself. Odile, are you there?
She can't hear us. No.
She,
Odile, can you can you see me?
I
I
think she
think the
has.
power cut is making it hard for
Yes.
her to connect.
Mm-mm.
So maybe we should take this as part of the reality of
Yeah.
African cultural projects.
Yeah.
I think she will be there in a
She's
minute.
trying.
Yeah, she's
She's trying.
trying.
No. This connection is so bad.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think we will continue, and after she will join us, and I will let her introduce herself. So we will begin with a quick definition of what is empowerment. Um, I borrow a definition from Wikipedia that said that empowerment is the degree of autonomy and self determination in people and in communities that enables them to represent their interests in a responsible and self determined way, acting on their own authority. It's the process of becoming stronger and more confident, especially in controlling one's life and claiming one's rights. So, do you agree with this definition, or do you have a complementary words to add to this definition? I think Odile is here. Odile, can you can you hear us? Odile.
No, I did hear very little to be able to react. You borrowed
Okay, no problem.
some words
I
from
will
one,
I will
but
just
yeah.
I will just let you introduce yourself like Janet and Gania did, and after that we will go with the topic. So you have the floor.
Who has the
Odile,
floor?
you
Yes.
you do have the
Okay.
floor. You can, yeah, you can go ahead.
Um, yes, okay. I'm Odile Gakile Katese. I live in Rwanda and I am known
Hmm. I think it will be quite difficult. Maybe Odile, maybe she can turn off the camera.
Hmm.
Okay,
any better.
so yes, yes, Odile. Oh, we can't hear you.
And
Okay, we hear
for
you
me,
now.
now okay,
Can you
good.
start from the
And
beginning, please?
from the introduction,
Yes, yes, please.
oh, okay, good. My name is Gakile Katese Odile. Everyone calls me Kiki, and I am in Rwanda, in the southern province, where I've founded, like almost 20 years ago, the first ever female drumming company. And for me, it is important that culture is made of us, meaning men and women. And I have the feeling, since I've been working in those spaces where there are taboos, where women are few or absent, that culture doesn't necessarily represent us and doesn't necessarily stand for us. And there is a need of reclaiming it and doing it in a way, what I'm saying now, that it is women friendly. And without having a culture that is women friendly, it is very difficult to achieve women empowerment even in other sectors. So for me, now it goes beyond drumming. It goes in the narratives, in the songs, the way we portray women in the poems or not. In Rwanda, for our context, we talk about the beauty of women, not necessarily about the power, the capabilities, the the strength they can have. We reduce them to the beauty. So now we are also creating songs that really sing the achievement of previous and unknown and unsung heroes, warriors, great women, so that we somehow rehabilitate a female lineage of great women in which we can be able to insert ourselves. So for me, empowerment it's about freedom. It's not about really freedom of expression, and I feel that um, we are working in a cultural context that was made by men for women in the absence of women, and they have to be they have to be present now and decide the way they want to be. Their identities has to be portrayed. So I'm saying whatever I'm saying, but I didn't hear what you said previously. I'm sorry.
No, it's perfect. It's exactly what we wanted you to say. So thank you. And I think I will.
I have a comment, if
Okay,
that's
Janet, go
okay.
ahead. Yes, go ahead.
Because I think it's interesting that Odile is taking on drumming, which is traditionally a man's occupation. And I, in my artwork, I've taken on welding, metalworking, which is also a male occupation. And so, and, and so we're already in a kind of an uncharted territory where it's, it's transgressive because we're doing what's not women's work, drumming and welding, metalworking.
Thank you, Janet. Odile said that she can't hear us. Odile, do
Yeah.
you hear me now? Can you hear me?
It's,
I think it's her network.
yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Mm.
Okay, so let's
Okay.
go ahead. I hope Odile's network won't be an issue the whole life long. So I will start with a question for the both of you. In your opinion, what are the obstacles to the empowerment of women in Africa and in particular in the creative sector and the cultural sector?
Okay. So for me, personally, working in a space that I I pretty much don't see anybody to kind of learn from in terms of knowledge about the field I'm interested in terms of, being an artistic director or trying to do a lot of things in culture because where I'm based, northern Nigeria, is not, I wouldn't say it's a place with rich culture, but a lot of women aren't expected to do anything like work in culture, talk about it like in terms of doing something about it or trying to structure the whole, cultural creative industry in the north. In terms of decision making, women are not usually, a part of it. It's not something that a lot of women even think about doing because, women in the north of Nigeria are seen as, oh, you have to take care of your home, but a lot of women now are breaking that, perception or that that expectation of them to do more for themselves. So I would think, socially speaking, the society doesn't really want you to do this. They just want you to do what is the norm for them, which is just getting married and, taking care of your home and period. Because in where I'm coming from, I think I'm one of the few females that I can literally count with my fingers that are working in culture, in terms of putting together projects, bringing up cultural projects. I'm one of the few, and we're not so many. And this is because a lot of people, there isn't that much support as a woman. If you want to do something in culture in northern Nigeria, it's like it's not really a thing. People just feel like, oh, it's you shouldn't be doing this. Basically, that is the behavior towards it, the attitude towards it. So I think for me, I would say socially speaking is a bit difficult, and the fact that there isn't so much knowledge available or people to even learn from, because sometimes a lot of people even think you're pioneers of something that should have been done, and then you don't know who to learn from because there aren't many people around you. So I would think, there's just a lack of, mentors around for a young cultural manager like I am, not many females, because I would feel more comfortable learning from someone that has been doing this longer than I have in, in my location, in my environment. But seeing as that is the case right now, it's not really easy. That's one obstacle I have identified or two. So yeah,
Thank you again. Yeah.
yeah.
Janet, do you want to add some obstacles?
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I've noticed the same situation, but I think the same in a different degree. I think that the same situation has existed for women artists, even in the States as well. I know that in Mali, I've tried to help encourage women artists in Mali. We have organizations in the States where women get together to support each other and to discuss their problems and figure out solutions together, a kind of, what we've called consciousness raising. And we find that the other women have similar problems to the ones that we have, because if you think you're alone in your problems, then it makes it harder. But if you know that there are other people having similar problems, then you can think together about how to solve them, or you can feel not so bad about them. And I think that all over the world, the culture does. In Africa, what I've seen more so, but everywhere in the world, the culture doesn't really support women to express their voices, and that's something that's really important, because we have stories to tell, and we have important insights and important visions to put out. And especially in West Africa, or in Africa, where women's work and, cooking is and cleaning, there's not a lot of, washing machines and vacuum cleaners and gas stoves. And so the reality of taking care of your house and then having time and energy and creativity left over to be able to create is very difficult. But
Yes.
I think if women could get together and discuss this, maybe they could figure out within their own context and within their own culture how to make progress.
Yeah, yeah, that is true.
Yeah.
Because I feel as if we actually come together and talk about these issues, the likelihood of a solution coming out is more, rather than individually experiencing it and feeling the whole burden of the problem alone. So I think it's a great thing for, people, more females to come together and, exchange ideas on ways forward. So yeah, yeah. So
So Odile is not here. No problem. We will go ahead. Thank you for your responses and your the solutions you raised. The next question will be about the consequences of the marginalization of women. What do you think can be the consequences of the marginalizations?
Well, I think that the consequences are have, are very very heavy, very that it's, everybody loses out, not only the women, but the culture at large, because women have visions and things to add that are different from men. And so it's the society that loses if we aren't able to express ourselves.
Yeah, I
Exactly.
agree with what Janet said because I feel there will be a deficit, of some sorts in the progress of a society if, in the culture as well, if women don't contribute because women think differently to men. So it will be very interesting to see additions of women, to an already existing idea. So I feel women should literally, the consequence of marginalization is a loss to the culture, as what Janet said. So it's true.
It's true. I agree with both of you. And I think that the consequences can be economic too. The consequences they can have consequences on the economic level, on the social level, and about the obstacle because we were saying that um, the the social pressure can be an obstacle for women,
Yeah.
uh, in particular in this sector and in particular in sub-Saharan Africa, where women that work in the cultural field are not always seen with a good eye.
Yeah. Yes.
I think it can be an obstacle. It can be even pregnancy. Pregnancy can be an obstacle, and so maybe it's cultural at cultural level.
Yes.
There's a yes, there is quite there is a paradox at the cultural level because we want women to be more empowered in the cultural sector, but it's culture itself that keep them away.
Yes. 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 Yeah. And I think, one other obstacle I've seen is that, um, what's it called? The lack of skills, the know-how to actually even do these things you want to do. As a woman, I can be very interested in creativity or cultural activities, but can I even, do these things? And even if there are. You would see that it's probably a male dominated, maybe training center or a male. And then as a female, you feel inferior because where the representation is important, seeing people like you there would encourage you more to participate or want to gain knowledge and learn. But seeing a male dominated, space would discourage you because you feel you won't be heard already because the society has already conditioned everything to be, a man's world. So you feel like you won't be heard. And I think that is it for me in terms of the obstacles that I've seen as well.
Thank you. Janet, do you want to add something before we?
Well, I agree. I agree very much. And I think again, this is why it's important for to have a space that's safe for women to express what, because if you feel different from the society, you start thinking you're kind of crazy, and the society treats you like you're kind of crazy. But if you come together with other women and you find that you have similar experiences and want to do similar things, then you find out that it's not you and that you're not crazy and you can help each other to get where you want to go, to
Yeah.
open these
So
doors.
Yes. Because, sharing knowledge among women will allow you to know that this is not just my own problem, so someone else is going through this as me, so, or feeling this way as well. So I can comfortably, express myself and, you know, be free, I guess. Yeah.
And maybe take chances that you wouldn't take in a
Yeah.
in a in a in a in a setting that didn't feel so safe.
Yes. And daring to even attempt things, daring to be, very bold in your expressions, I guess. And yeah.
thank you. I I will just ask another question about what do you think can be the strategies and policies that can be put in place to further promote the empowerment of women.
Okay. So for me, I think, the policies that should be put in place by government agencies, I feel government should be intentional about women, because since, all of these problems are occurring, I think they should make more intentional policies that focus on women. For instance, maybe providing, let's say you have children, you want to work in your creative field, but you have children, there should be a way that, you still, um, what's it called? There's a way you can still work comfortably, conveniently, while, still having your kids, for instance. And um, I'm thinking of something as well. Yeah, yeah, for instance, government should actually make it easier, make policies in terms of work. Government owned cultural organizations can make it easier for women by giving them the support they need in terms of lessening their responsibilities that they have to do, that hinders them from participating fully in their cultural endeavors. Yeah.
Don't you think too that um, the work must be done since the childhood? I think because even the parents must be educated to
Yeah.
to let their children express themselves in
Mhm.
creative way,
Yeah. Yeah.
because in most of the African countries, uh, parents don't really encourage their children to work, to have a career
Mm.
in the cultural field.
Mhm.
It's quite taboo, and I think the work must be done. There must be a sensibilization strategies, campaigns
Yeah.
towards both parents and children.
Yes.
Well, I think parents are afraid for their children because they think that they won't be able to support themselves
Yeah.
if they're in the cultural sector. And that of course goes for men and women.
Yeah.
That parents really look down on it, and it's a problem also
Mhm.
worldwide.
Yeah.
Where parents just don't unless the parents themselves are in the cultural sector, they just don't understand and they're afraid.
Yeah. Yes. It's true. Yeah, because I feel, somewhere like in Nigeria, you find a lot of people that studied fine arts and they're literally working in banks now because there isn't anything carrying them from their academic degree into the art world or properly into a way to navigate their ways or their path into the art industry properly, the creative industry. So you find, I don't know, I feel there's just a gap that exists, especially for young people that are studying art or interested in art, not knowing how to navigate themselves, their path into, how to be sustainable for themselves, you know especially even with women. And I think governments can also try and establish, funds that target women, that want to do work in the creative industry as well, just to encourage more women to, you know, create what they want to create freely with while being financially secure with their work. So I think that's one thing I see that government can do as well. Because you see funds for agriculture, you see funds for other sectors of the economy, but the creative economy is, especially in Nigeria, you don't hear anything about the maybe a fund dedicated to the creative economy, the creative sector. There isn't anything like that, and it's very important because there's a lot of young female artists coming up, young male artists coming up, and they have to rely on international donors or international opportunities, but they don't value them in their own country as such to even support them. So I can see that that's one thing that the government can do if they want to also, support the whole support the participation of women and young people in the creative industry.
Thank you and welcome back, Odile. Maybe I will go back, return to the questions. Odile, did you hear about the obstacles question before your internet turned down?
No, no, I'm sorry.
Okay, okay, no problem. So I was asking, in your opinion, what are the obstacles to the empowerment of women in Africa and in the cultural sector in particular?
Yes, I heard what Sunny said about participation, and I think there is uh, an environment that doesn't allow women to participate. And for me, yes, the fund can be an obstacle, and the usual obstacles that artists meet with, but invading culture and changing things that doesn't fit women, it's not, it's a big obstacle. I have realized that the main obstacle is we say that culture is dynamic, but in reality we don't want it to be dynamic. We want it to stay the way it was given to us by our ancestors. This is how it's precious. So we keep perpetuating the same practices that doesn't allow women to free themselves and express themselves the way they want. And then they will be able to access the fund, the market. This is what we meet, the obstacles we meet here with the women drummers, because they broke a taboo, and the system is angry with them because they broke a taboo. They say they're perverting culture when they are participating and taking advantages of any opportunities that can be there. But that's why for me it's, again, I come back to this word that I've found, that culture is not women friendly, and as long as it won't be women friendly, we will not have access to the market, to the fund, to anything. So it has to change. And these words, for many years I've been very afraid to say them, Because why do you want to change our precious culture? You are not a good citizen, you are not a good woman because you want to change the things that exist for centuries. And I used to say, no, I don't want to change. I just want to participate and everything. But now I dare say that, yes, I want to change this culture that doesn't recognize me, that doesn't value me. So I think this is where I would like to start. This is where the obstacle changes, because the talk doesn't meet the reality. We talk about women empowerment, but in reality, we don't really work for that, especially in culture. So it also impacts other sectors, because in other sectors, they meet with cultural barriers that doesn't allow full women participation. So I think there is a need really to change culture. And for many years, I've been waiting for someone to do it for me. I thought it was not a job. And I've realized that, oh my gosh, I have to do it myself. No one is going to make this culture convenient or friendly to me. It's my job. And I'm aware that it might be a fight that I don't necessarily want to do, but we have to do it. Culture has to change very deeply. Those cultural values that portray women or lock them in traditional uh,
That's one.
areas that doesn't allow them to be bold and unapologetic, to just blossom.
Yeah.
They want us, a good woman. It's still a shy woman who doesn't speak as loudly as I can speak, who doesn't look in the face, in the eyes of the man. There is an image. Who is a flower? I mean, we don't want, we can't continue to be those this way. So for me, it starts with culture itself. And then once we will have those deep changes, we can hope that the rest will follow.
Yes,
Thank you. Yes, Ghana.
I agree with Odile because culture, it's social constructs. It's just a group of people that started doing something and carried it on and passed it on. So it is not beyond modifying or not maybe correcting, because we've advanced as humans, and there are some things that are not practicable to this generation or this reality. Even before, it's just maybe women weren't vocal about it, but some things are not cannot be applied anymore, so they need to be changed, because it's affecting real people, it's affecting people's progress and development. So I think I agree with that. So yeah, I do, because once people say culture, oh, we have to protect it, it's sacred. Yes, but it was a group of human beings that created culture of a particular place. It's not divine. It's not something that cannot be changed. So I think it is dynamic, and definitely I think it is even the basis of institutional change that we're looking for in the creative industry and the cultural sector. Because if you as a person, you have your personal culture that doesn't still recognize women, no matter the change that everyone says, you don't believe it. The moment you start believing that it needs to change, then you know that, okay, it will change in terms of institution and in practice as well. So I agree with Odile with that. Yeah.
Thank you, Ghana. Janet, do you want to add something to?
Well, I think that it is important. I mean, culture is a living thing, and it changes all the time to incorporate new realities. And so we as women need to continue to insert ourselves and insist on a recognition of new roles and also a recognition of the traditional roles. Because, I mean, all of the, taking care of the house and taking care of children, they're seen as, not very hard, but of course they're very difficult and time consuming. And so to honor all of these traditions and move them in a new direction is very important.
Thank you, Janet. So, Odile, I also asked about what do you think can be the consequences of the marginalization of women?
Oh,
So, do you? Yes.
no, it's terrible, as Sani said. No, it's terrible because the way you portray yourself, the way you limit yourself as a woman, the way you exclude yourself in many, this is terrible. And the low esteem you have for yourself, the all the limitation, I think there is, it's terrible, terrible. I mean, like if we go in domestic violence in Rwanda, we have now stop centers when you can go and share this, but we don't do that because culturally you don't share this. So you perpetuate the violence against yourself, and when the way you see yourself is that that bad, it's really terrible, and then you pass it to the next generation, and it's something we keep perpetuating, and you lose your dignity, you lose your self-value, you don't consider yourself as a legitimate human being. And for me, culture rehabilitate women. This is what I feel like with the drumming, we are just taking what we want without necessarily asking for permission, even though we think that asking for permission can be a good thing for us, but we don't. But we are just we don't. I mean, this is the impact for me. It's not necessarily the tour that we can have outside the, it's really the way you think of yourself again as a valid person who can have all the dreams and achieve anything. So the consequences are damaging for women when they limit themselves and they don't value themselves. So the validation, like for the women drummers, I've been waiting for the system to validate our work. I was like, oh, they will legitimate what we are doing. And the system is not friendly. It was not made by us. It was not made for us. There is no room for us in that space. Why do I want validation from that same system? So I gave it to myself. and I pass it to the next generation, and I have to make sure that it's sustained in time, so that it become part of that culture, that culture that is made of us also as well.
Thank you, Odile. And the next question will be, what do you think can be the strategies and policies that can be put in place to further promote the empowerment of women in the cultural African sector?
Maybe, as Janet said, it's continuing to insert ourselves. And because people will not integrate us. So if we are lucky to have a institution like African Cultural Fund that take care, ensure that there is gender equality in the cultural sector, that's a good thing. But most of the time, it's punctual. It doesn't sustain over time, and people get exhausted, and we give up. But it's continuing to insert ourselves, and to, as they say, if you don't, there is no table, there is no chair on a table for you, you bring a folding chair. I mean, you keep coming back and again until they accept you, or you also provide alternatives for yourself. There is a need of creating new things, because the old things don't necessarily want to integrate us. So it's creating new programs made by women for women. So it's also making a culture made by women for women. So I think and of course continuing to fight with the system so that they recognize us. But for myself, I've given up because I think it's time consuming and the change costs a lot of time that I don't have. So I find my own solutions. I make room for myself. I create programs and I find allies sometimes, and then it works. And we've been there for 20 years. I'm so proud of the 20 years, but it's so little compared to the absence during centuries. So it's making sure that this sustain in an hostile environment and recognize that the environment is hostile, and work with that. Be as tough as men were when they were putting in place this system that works for them. So it's taking care of ourselves by ourselves, and trying to find allies, partners who also embrace that vision.
Exactly, I do agree with you. Janet Ganiat, do you want
Yeah.
to add something?
So I just remembered something that happened to me like some years ago. I had already started my platform, the exhibition that I usually have, and someone, a man approached me. He's more experienced than I am in what I'm doing, and he wanted me to work for him as an assistant, and he wasn't recognizing that I was building something. He didn't even regard it as anything. So he wanted me to work as an assistant for him because maybe he recognized my value, or he saw that I could bring something, but he didn't see me building something as anything like a serious thing or something worthy of focusing on with my full attention. So I felt that was very, it was, I felt gaslit, or is it gaslighted? I would say, like he didn't recognize what I was doing. It made me feel, and then it encouraged me to pursue what I was doing more because it just felt like I was about to be cut down or maybe reduced because of my potential of building what I wanted to build. So that was the feeling I got from the whole experience. Yeah.
Sorry about that. There's a lot of lot of cases like this in African women and in women all over the world in our lives. So we must be brave, not give up on our dreams, and be undertaking.
Yeah.
Janet.
Well, I was thinking that I just went to FESPACO, the Pan African Film Festival in Ouagadougou. I just got back, and I was surprised that almost half of the feature films in the festival were directed by women. And I don't know how that happened, but it's something that maybe we should look at in terms of visual arts, about how women, women all over the continent have been able to direct films to that extent. I was very happy to find that out.
Yeah.
It was great. Maybe the festival put in place some quotas for women.
Maybe, I don't know. I don't know. It was the first time I had been to FESPACO, but I was very happy to be looking at all these films by women.
It's wonderful. It's that kind of thing that we must encourage.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, do you have other personal experiences like Ganiat about about what happened to you, what obstacles uh, were in front of you in your cultural life?
Well, I started out making art as a weaver, and I was using chicken wire to make my weavings three-dimensional to make sculptures, and I wanted to start using metal as my material, and it took me this is in the US, it took me a very, very long time to learn how to weld because because nobody wanted to teach me. And so um, they would, the only thing, I mean, I use gas welding, and you need to light the torch with the little flame, and they would show me the only thing I needed to know was how to light the torch, and then I could practice and do what I wanted to do. And they wanted to teach me everything except how to turn it on. And so I kept taking class after class after class until finally I had a friend who was a welder, and in 5 minutes he showed me. This is after years of trying to get somebody to show me.
That's
Was terrible.
Yeah.
Odile, do you have a personal experience to share?
Oh, yeah. No, because um, we have to start everything from scratch. And as long as we were paying men to teach us how to drum, of course they will accept the money. So they taught us, and we are lucky to have a very strong gender policy. This is the umbrella that allows me to do everything. And even though I don't have the approval or the validation of the Ministry of Culture, they can't touch our initiatives because of the gender policy. So the gender policy is allowing me to set precedents. So I'm aware of setting precedent and saying that let's do it in the warrior dance where it's only for men who are supposed to be brave and strong. Let's do it in poetry because they sing men, warriors, men. Let's do it in songs. Let's do it everywhere because there is an opportunity here that is really precious, and we can take advantage of that. So we like the access of the local market is really in existence. We perform for international organizations, for GOAT, for the French Institute, for the American Embassy, but never for the local public event. And if we have to, it will be on the 8th of March, and it will be for free because we are giving you a platform. So there is a few festival in Rwanda, but you will never see us there because, so we created our own festival. You know, we have a Rwanda Drum Festival where we invite hundreds of men to drum with us and realize that you are only 20. And we set our rules because we broke a rule, we don't have to follow all the rules because we are strange animals that doesn't fit any boxes. So we say, okay, we don't want to fit those boxes. But and that's why also, like for the women drummers, they work on a daily basis. They are paid on every month. This was necessary so that I can absorb them. They don't go sell tomatoes at the market because this brings money. We have to find this solution so that they drum on a daily basis. They develop their skills and an expertise, and we hope that that will allow us this is allowing us to have access to international market. But I'm very frustrated to not exist as a drummer in my country and have access to local opportunities because I spend the big time in my country, not outside. So we have to be expensive so that one show can pay 3 months of salaries. We have to be very creative. And but and really grow our confidence and not what expect someone else to fuel it. We have just to be convinced that we are doing great things, and we are teaching the next generation of drummers or female drummers. But I used to be present at all the meetings at the Ministry of Culture. I am blacklisted now because I'm that rebellious woman who doesn't follow the rules, who doesn't want to obey, who is perverting our culture. And I was happy with that for many years, but now I'm realizing that I have to go back and talk with them and negotiate something. Otherwise, the female drummer is not going to sustain in that environment. I don't know what I will have to give up to give them, but there must be a dialogue. I've been avoiding also that dialogue because I knew that it was very sensitive for them. But 20 years after, I feel like maybe it's time to have that dialogue and really maybe negotiate preferential treatments for these women drummers, maybe to raise the numbers, to have quotas in spaces in cultural sectors where women are absent, few or excluded. But I know that it will be very complicated.
Exactly. I do agree. Thank you for sharing all your experiences, and we will just end with your message. What is your message towards women in the African cultural sector? Women that want to be totally empowered. What is your message towards them? Ganyat, Janet, Odile, do you want to start?
Okay, my message will be to free yourself and to unlearn. The what we have learned for many years. That is, but to work for a culture that is women friendly. But no one will do that for you. You will have to do that for yourself.
Yeah.
Exactly. Thank you.
Yes.
Ganyat?
Well, for me, that what has I think works for me and is still working for me is create your own table, create your own niche, create your own everything, your own create your own reality and just shut out the shut out the noise and the negative energies and negative attitudes towards your work and create your own future that you want to live in, because as long as no one is coming to physically, harm you, and just create your own reality that you want to see exist. That is my own um message. Yeah.
Thank you, Ganyat. Janet, any
So
comments?
I think I can say just keep going. Just keep doing it and try to find allies and other women who have similar goals, and maybe some men who can understand, and you try to build a support system around you in some way so you can just keep going for what you want to do, because know that it's very important.
Exactly. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, both of you. Thank you, Janet. Thank you, Ganiet. Thank you, Odile. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you for accepting our invitation. And thank you for all you are doing for the cultural field, for the development of the cultural sector uh, in Africa and beyond.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you
you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
for
Been
creating.
a pleasure to it's been a pleasure to meet everybody and get to know them a tiny little bit.
Yes.
Also,
Thank you, Janet.
and
And I
Yes.
thank
want to add that Janet is one of a donor artists. So
oh,
she donated an artwork to ACF, I think 2 years ago, to
oh,
help us with our mission of professionalization of the cultural sector in Africa. So thank you, Janet, for your donation, and thank you for all you are doing. And thank you, Odile and Ganiat, that are both ACF beneficiaries.
Thank you to Yuma. I
Thank
would like
you.
to especially thank the ACF for this opportunity. You know, it's not always you see opportunities to have intergenerational exchanges like this. And I think it's very important, you know, for us to rub minds, no matter how young or how older, you know, we are. I think it's important for us to create this nice, you know, cocktail of knowledge that can be beneficial to everybody in the long run. So thank you to RCF. I appreciate.
Yes, thank you, ACF, and keep up
Nice
the good
to meet
work. It's
you and Dan.
unique and precious.
Yes.
Thank you, Odile. Keep
Thank
up
you.
doing the good work, you too.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you
All
and
right.
bye. Bye.
Thank you.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye bye.